So there were two brothers. There was an older brother and a younger brother. They are just over a year apart. Now, this older brother has a problem. Everything he does, his younger brother wants to do it with him. Every sport he plays, his younger brother wants to play that sport, wants to play on the same team. All the friends the older brother makes, the younger brother wants to be in the same group of friends. Everywhere the older brother goes, the younger brother wants to go. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. The younger brother wants to be like his older brother, wants to be with his older brother. And this is a great problem for the older brother. And while many brothers seem to grow apart, the older they get their own group of friends, so on and so forth. The older they get, the more they go through life, it seems like the more clinging the younger brother is to his older brother. This goes through elementary. It's even worse in junior high, even worse in high school. Now, their senior year, the older brother gets accepted to this university. And he's super excited because this university is across the United States. He's super excited to finally get away, not from his parents, but from his younger brother, to finally get rid of this younger brother. There's only one problem. A few weeks later, he finds out the younger brother got accepted to the same university. The older brother can't believe it. So now all of his joy and excitement and anticipation is turned into dread. But even worse than that, when they arrive at college and they go to find out what dorm they are in, the older brother finds out he's going to be rooming with his younger brother. How much worse can it get? Now you're like, Ivan, why are you telling this story? What does this have to do with the text? Well, you'll see in just a minute because I have to finish that story. But anyway, Paul has been telling us when we put our faith in Christ, when we commit our life to Christ by faith, we are united with him. We die to sin and we raise with him to live by the power of God. And he's telling us that has happened to us. So do not let sin reign in your mortal body because you're dead to the power of sin. Your old master sin is inoperative and you've been declared righteous from him. So he says, don't let sin reign in your mortal body. Present your members as weapons of righteousness to God. And he says, for sin shall not have dominion over you. But then he says something interesting. He gives an interesting reason because you would think he would say, for sin shall not have dominion over you. Then he would point back because you've been united with Christ. You've died to sin. You've raised to walk in the power of God. Sin won't have dominion over you because of that. But that's not what he says. Look at verse 14, Romans 6:14. For sin shall not have dominion over you for or because you are not under law, but under grace. So the reason he gives that sin will not have dominion over you because you're not under the law, but under grace. Now, what does it mean to be under the law or under grace? Well, the first time Paul uses this word under the law, he gives us the definition pretty much. Remember in Romans chapter 3, starting in verse 20, he says, for what the law says, so the law is speaking something. What the law says, it says to those who are under the law, that every mouth may be stopped and all the world may be guilty before God. So it's saying something and you're guilty as a result. So what does it continue to say? That every mouth may be stopped, all the world may be guilty before God. Listen, for by the deeds. So it's telling you deeds, it's telling you works, it's telling you to do something. By the deeds of the law, no flesh will be justified or declared righteous. For by the law comes the knowledge of sin. So what is all this? The law is speaking. Remember that old master is speaking. The law is speaking. And he's telling you, remember, by the deeds of the law, no flesh will be justified or declared righteous. So the law is speaking. these righteous deeds that you ought to do, but you don't do them. So you're guilty and your mouth is shut before God, and you only gain knowledge of your sin. So what does it mean to be under the law? Simply this: under the law is a principle of obedience to be righteous before God. So what does under grace mean? Well, it means just the opposite. We're not under the law as a principle of obedience to be righteous before God. We're under grace as a principle to be righteous before God. Remember, this goes back to chapter 5. He's already talked about the gift of grace through the one man, Jesus Christ. Remember, one man's obedience, many were declared righteous. He gave a gift of righteousness. So grace gives a gift of righteousness. So how does this work? He's saying sin won't have dominion over you. Paul, it will make sense if you said sin will not have dominion over you because you are under the law. You are under the law as a principle of obedience. Yeah, let's go out there. Let's keep the law. Let's do this thing. Let's be righteous. So sin's not going to have dominion over us because we're out there. We're trying to keep the law and we're doing a good job at it. Well, if you've been following along with us, or even by your own experience, you know that's not true. And Paul will get more there, deal with being under the law, or a Christian subjecting himself to the law again, subjecting himself to that old master, and how the law, if you go to the law, it's not going to help you. It's not going to help sin or help you have dominion over sin. Actually, it's going to be just the opposite, but we'll get there. But anyway, what does under grace mean? Well, under the principle of grace to be righteous before God. That gracious gift given by Jesus Christ when you put your faith in him. Okay, so Paul is like, look, sin won't reign, sin won't rule, sin won't have dominion over you because you're under a gift of righteousness given to you. How does that work? Well, we'll deal with that more, Lord willing, in future devotionals, but let me add something I did not say about that story. See, one day, it was a couple months later, and they were playing together. I mean, the older brother didn't really want to, but all of his friends were busy. So it's like, okay, you know what? I guess I'll play with you today. What do you want to do? He says to his younger brother. So they spend the day together and they actually had some fun. But that night, when they go to bed, the younger brother springs to his feet because he hears the fire alarm. He looks at the door. The room is filling up with smoke coming from under the door. He can even see some flames. So he yells to the top bunk. He yells to his older brother, but his older brother doesn't get out. So he climbs up there. He's shaking his older brother. His older brother is not waking up because his older brother, because of the smoke and everything, he's just in a state where he's unconscious. So what does the younger brother do? Because now flames are starting to come into the room. Is he to jump out the window and call 911 or wait for the fire department to come and get his older brother? That's not what happens. So the younger brother grabs the older brother, drags him out, does CPR as the fire department is coming, and his older brother revives. Now, let me ask you, how does the attitude of the older brother change to the younger brother? Is he not now thankful? And does he not now enjoy to give himself, to spend time to serve his younger brother? Why? Is it because he's under this, oh, I must do this, oh, I got to spend time with him? No. But it's because of the gracious act, this gracious gift of the younger brother doing this work of saving the life of the older brother. And that's what Paul is saying here. He's saying sin won't have dominion over you, because when you consider what Christ did for you and the gift he gave to you, it changes you. Now we're out of time, so we'll get to it next time. But for now, I want to ask you, has the gracious gift of righteousness given by Jesus Christ changed you? Do you realize how much that gift cost? He laid down his life, suffering the wrath of God, rising the third day. He did this for you and gave you a gracious gift of righteousness. If you receive that by faith, how does this not change you? Has the gracious gift of righteousness changed you, Christian?